There are a lot of misconceptions about rich people. Rich people do tend to get richer and richer, but that doesn't necessarily mean they spend money however they want. While it is true that rich people often get immediate access to luxuries, most of them choose not to indulge in unnecessary extravagances. In fact, they choose to spend their money on necessities only, like food, shelter, and clothes. They may have a lot of money in the bank, but they don't always go on shopping sprees buying expensive items that really don't benefit them financially. Rather than spending their money on silly things, many choose to live simple lives as well as invest their money for better returns. In short, even if they have every right to spend their money on luxurious things, a lot of them choose not to. In this video, we're going to take you to the 7 expenses that all rich people avoid. If you're new to this channel, we publish weekly videos to help you learn life-changing habits. Be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons to be notified each time a video is released. Expense number 1. Debt repayments. The first expense that all wealthy individuals avoid is debt repayment, which includes any additional cost involved with handling other people's money. The most obvious difference between the wealthy and the unsuccessful is their way of handling debt. The poor and the middle class have a tendency to take on large debts and ignore any additional cost. While debt is not necessarily your worst financial enemy, it can keep you from becoming rich if you don't know how to use it properly. Debt is a technique that the wealthy frequently use to increase their riches. This may be true, but there is another truth. Not all debtors are the same. The rich have mastered the art of debt and they aren't afraid to use it. However, they know how to use it in a way that's going to not only remain wealthy but enhance their wealth. Debt can be used as an asset if you know how to use it. We're just trying to make you understand that without a proper financial contingency plan, debt repayment is an expense that will cripple your financial life and possibly obstruct your path to financial freedom. Because here's the thing, toxic debt is very easy to get into and very difficult to get out of, just like trouble. Take for example, education debt. How long does it take the average college graduate to repay a $40,000 student loan? According to the Department of Education, this might take up to 35 years, which is almost 9 times the time spent in college. This loan will have collected a lot of interest by the end of this term, and you'll be paying back far more than you originally borrowed. This is why wealthy individuals avoid debt whenever possible, and if they must, make sure they have a well-defined repayment scheme. Expense number 2. Designer brands. Luxurious designer labels, including lush dress codes and fashion fads, will bury the average Joe in toxic debt. Yes, we do require clothing, specifically decent clothing, but does this imply that one should spend a major portion of their monthly salary on high-end designer clothing? Most likely not. The thing is, rich people aren't always impressed by trendy designer sneakers that will most likely tear in a few months. And if you don't believe me, consider Steve Jobs' famous dress code. Many people still don't understand why Apple's founder wore basic jeans, a black sweater, and the same sneakers for years. He moved around in running clothes that were unlikely to attract attention, yet he was the owner of one of the most successful software companies in history. Rich individuals have a tendency to own the most basic objects, which is understandable, given that the more money you acquire, the more you realize that material possessions can never compare to the deeper, life-changing experiences that money can provide. Why would you spend money on shoes every month when a pair can last you a year? Plus, if you work so hard to get money, why would you put in even more effort only to prove it? Expense number 3. Expensive real estate. Another expense that wealthy individuals avoid is having numerous pricey and elegant residences. This may surprise you. I understand that this statement contradicts the extravagant mansions that celebrities flaunt on social media. However, despite living in beautiful mansions, self-made millionaires are exceedingly cautious when it comes to home ownership. You'll find that these homes weren't purchased at current prices, and even if they were, the valuations don't come close to that individual's net worth. Because here's the thing, purchasing a high-priced home in the posh area is a bad way to build money. Most people would think that millionaires live in million-dollar houses, but Actually, a good number of rich individuals, close to 30%, prefers to live in houses priced at about $300,000. If you're wondering the reason for this choice, you'd be happy to know that it's all about investments and ultimate savings. When you purchase a house valued at $3 million, you're intentionally locking yourself into an expensive lifestyle that would compromise your financial progress. Rich people know this, and that's why they seek cheaper options. As soon as they find one, they'll move in, then let their investments appreciate over time so that when it's time for resale, they'll make massive profits. Most rich people will tell you that purchasing a house at an exaggerated price is a laughable investment. Expense number 4. TV, entertainment, and video games. If there's another thing you will find rich people wasting their money on, it's TV and video games. According to experts, millionaires don't spend more than 60 minutes a day in front of a television screen as opposed to the average person who spends roughly 5 to 7 hours a day. Jumbo television packages are an alien concept in most million-dollar homes, with most of them opting to pursue meaningful endeavors such as reading impactful books or working on their businesses. Numerous studies also show that there's a strong correlation between household total income and the TV consumption rate in those respective households. Households with a net worth of less than $25,000 recorded insanely high amount of TV hours, with richer households with a net worth of $75,000 recording significantly lower TV durations and consequently more life of fulfillment. Excessive video games and TV consumption will only sap you of your time, energy, and most importantly, your money. The secret to becoming rich is not about being lazy, but about doing what others won't do. You have to be willing to work hard for long hours without expecting any monetary rewards just so you can get out of poverty and into wealth. It's not about getting lucky, but about taking action towards making your dreams come true. So if you want to start living like a millionaire, then start acting like one by not watching too much TV and playing too many video games. Expense number 5. Flashy cars and expensive flights. So far, you might have thought that rich people all drive expensive cars and always fly business class. The thing is, they don't always do both. Wealthy people have been caught multiple times driving cars we can easily afford and traveling in coach class seats that cost a fraction of the amount of business class ticket. When asked why he prefers to drive a basic Acura TSX or a Honda Accord in most aspects, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg said it is safer, more comfortable, and less expensive than flashy sports cars. And I would say this is the most logical reason to buy a car. It's often difficult for people to see what they're really signing up for when they purchase flashy cars. To be constantly aware of high maintenance costs, the stress and social pressure of the upkeep, as well as how soon the car's worth depreciates. It might be more worth it to buy a cheaper car for lower maintenance costs and peace of mind, and rent the flashy cars for special occasions like holidays and special events. This stands in contrast to most people who succumb to societal pressure and conform to owning a fancy or expensive car. Actually, a study conducted by Experian Automotive indicates that you are most likely to find 60% of billionaires driving around Fords, Toyotas, and Hondas. Expense number 6. Fast food. Wealthy people rarely, if ever, partake in the overindulgence of fast food like an average person does on a weekly basis. In contrast, they usually pick more frugal meal options instead. You would expect a millionaire to walk into a restaurant chain in order to order lunch for everyone or even rent the whole restaurant for themselves. Well, what if we told you that even rich people make use of discount coupons in order to save on costs and that they will cause a scene if a restaurant overcharges them simply because they are rich? For some, purchasing groceries is a more viable option compared to eating processed foods in a restaurant. Rich people also tend to align themselves with healthier lifestyles, which makes financial draining junk food a no-no. Expense number 7. Costly formal education. Having a formal education had little to do with their financial success. Nearly a third of billionaires didn't even complete their formal education. Of course, we do not intend to discourage anyone from pursuing a meaningful formal education, but we need to be honest about this. It is very difficult to leave our minds uncensored by schools and colleges. When you start school, you're praised for academic success. Once you graduate, you end up chained to a desk in the name of employment. It doesn't seem to be that hard to become a functioning adult outside of school until you learn the fact that your college degree doesn't get you financial freedom. Unlike most people who go into workplace with low-level skills, most wealthy people's careers started out with in-depth tangible investment skills that school never teaches. People with a college degree usually spend almost 20 years in a working-class job to service debt before being able to reach the financial class of most rich people. Rich people are affluent in most of their professions. One difference between rich people and college graduates is that rich people don't invest in home tutoring for their children's education. In contrast, they introduce their children to valuable skills, valuable experiences, and high-level opportunities, which, in the long run, contribute to the child's personal development. Doing this helps them avoid college debts and boring jobs that, ultimately, colleges prepare us for. And there you have it. Rich people are not as extravagant as we think they are. Even with all the money in the world, they still find it important to mind how they spend the money they work so hard for, and so should everyone else. Thanks for watching.